Nutritionists tell us that the most important meal of the day is breakfast. I don't really care about that. I just know it's the most delicious meal. And it's because of the bread groups. I mean, think about it. Pancakes, waffles, bagels, biscuits, coffee cake. What's the pinnacle of a classy breakfast? It's Eggs Benedict on an English muffin. But don't go run into the bread aisle too quickly. You can make these things at home. I'll show you how. Okay, we're going to start with something really basic, and that is biscuits, because biscuits can be the foundation of lots of different kinds of breakfasts, but especially biscuits and gravy, which is a real family favorite, especially in my monastic family. Now, the nice thing about biscuits is you can really make it pretty much with 3 ingredients: self-rising flour, some kind of fat, and that could be butter or shortening or lard, and then buttermilk. That's really pretty much all you need. So we're going to start with this really basic recipe, and you'll learn some techniques along the way that we're going to be using later on as well. So I'm starting with 2 cups of self-rising flour. That already has the baking powder and the salt already mixed in. Now, you can make your own self-rising flour at home if all you have is all-purpose flour, and the recipes for that are online and easily can be found. This is 6 tablespoons of vegetable shortening. Now, you will find in traditional biscuits like this, or Southern biscuits in particular, the amount of shortening really changes. Some recipes will say 2 tablespoons, some recipes will say half a cup. I'm kind of splitting the difference between the two and using 6 tablespoons, and it's room temperature. Now I'm going to use, you can use a lot of different tools for this particular process of cutting the fat into the flour, okay? Among them are these 2 beauties, and these are what we consider a traditional pastry blender, okay? This one on the left with the wires is kind of the more old-fashioned kind, and it works well with soft things like shortening or room temperature butter. Later on, when we start working with a colder butter, like a frozen butter, we're going to need this one with the hard blades, okay? What I'm going to use is an old-fashioned granny fork. A lot of people don't even know what this is. You may have seen one at a garage sale or maybe in the drawer at your grandma's house and not known what it is. It's specifically designed to make biscuits so that you only need one tool. This will cut the shortening in and can be used to mix the buttermilk. So we're just going to use this to kind of mash the shortening into the flour until we get something that looks like coarse crumbs. So as you can see, the little tines there are kind of set aside, and they are kind of mashing the shortening in and mixing it together. You kind of spin the bowl as you do it. It takes a little bit of patience. It actually goes faster with a pastry blender, but I like the fact that I won't have to wash 2 tools when it's done. When I add the buttermilk, this will mix this as well. Now you continue this process until what you get looks like coarse crumbs. Now that's a little too large of a piece of shortening. So we're going to mash this just a little bit longer until it's more like coarse crumbs. And you'll be able to see that in just a minute. Like I said, it goes a little faster with the other tool, but I kind of like using this old-fashioned thing. But you do want to see some pieces. Look there. There, now we got coarse crumbs. See? You got some larger pieces, and that's what's going to give you the fluffy texture in your biscuit. And then I'm just going to add the buttermilk. Some people say make a well in the center. I say just pour it in. So here I can use the same tool instead of getting out another wooden spoon or a dough whisk or something. This is going to be a very soft dough, softer than biscuits that you would cut out with a cutter. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. This is going to make a fluffy biscuit. Now, you will hear a debate between fluffy and flaky biscuits, okay? Flaky is kind of the new trend. Fluffy biscuits are the more old-fashioned kind. And it may depend upon, in your family, it may depend upon whether you came from the northern part of the United States or the southern part, or whether your family heritage is white or African American. There's a lot of different arguments and sometimes kind of contentious. This just happens to be what I think is the easiest recipe, and therefore that's where we're going to start out. Okay, now you can see it's really sticky. It's really sticky. So we're going to have to move this around in our hands a little bit. They say to knead it 4 or 5, 6 strokes, something like that. I find it's best to just leave it in the bowl and squish it around a little bit. And you're going to get, like I said, it's going to be a very soft dough. But that's exactly what you want. And it's going to be all over your hands, and it's going to be a mess. You're like, I'm getting it wrong. No, you're fine. Everything's fine. No need to panic. It's a good idea, though, to have a rubber spatula nearby.